All right, today we're going to pull back the curtain on one of the most nerve-wracking exams out there, the IELTS speaking test. We've actually got our hands on some confidential test materials, and we're about to break down what they really tell us about how this whole thing works. Okay, so let's just jump right in. What you're looking at here is a super rare peek at a list of speaking topics for the 2024 test. I mean, that word confidential right at the top, it kind of gets the heart pumping, doesn't it? But listen, this isn't about memorizing a bunch of answers. It's about understanding the game. And that leads us to the big question. What does a list like this actually tell us about the test's design and what the examiners are truly listening for? Because this isn't a cheat sheet, not at all. Think of it more like a map. And today, we're going to learn how to read it.
So, how do we get inside the test? Well, our whole goal here is to take this list and flip it from something that causes anxiety into a tool that actually gives you confidence. And we're going to do that just by understanding its logic. And that logic all starts with part 1. You should think of this part as the warm-up, the conversational handshake. It's designed to get you talking about the one subject in the world you're the absolute expert on. And that subject is, of course, you. Your world. The whole idea here is super simple. Every single question is about your personal life, it's easy to access, and it's all based on your day-to-day. There are no trick questions, and you don't need to know any obscure facts. And this is where it gets really interesting when you look at the actual topics. Where you live now, sure. Work or study, makes sense. Mornings, okay? But then you see something like pens and pencils. See the pattern here? Every one of these, even the quirky ones, connects directly to your life, your habits, and your opinions. And boom, that right there is the key. The one thing they all have in common is you. This is not a test of what you know, it's a conversation about who you are. So the most important thing is to just breathe and talk about what you know. Quick tip, always try to give a little more. If they ask about mornings, don't just say yes. Say, oh yeah, because that's when I feel the most creative. That little because changes everything. Okay, so once you're all warmed up, the test completely shifts gears. We're moving into part 2, and this section is all about telling a good story. And that requires a totally different mindset, a different way of speaking. So how does it work? It's actually really simple. They hand you a topic card, you get exactly 1 minute to scribble down some notes, and then it's your turn to talk for about 1 to 2 minutes. It's basically a short monologue, your own little mini presentation. Now, if we look back at our big list of topics, the Part 2 prompts might seem all over the place, but they're not. They almost always fall into these 4 simple categories. You're going to be asked to describe a person, a place, an event, or an object. Knowing this pattern is a game changer because it helps you predict the kind of story you'll need to have ready. So yeah, Part 2 is your moment, your stage. It's all about storytelling. It's testing if you can build a little narrative and use some good descriptive words. But here's the really clever part. The story you tell isn't the end of it. It actually becomes the launching pad for the final and most complex part of the whole test. All right, so now that we've looked at the different pieces, part 1 and part 2, let's zoom out. Let's look at the hidden pattern that connects everything. When you put it all together, you can see this clear, deliberate structure. This comparison just lays it out so perfectly, doesn't it? You start with a simple conversation in part 1, just a casual back and forth. Then, bam, part 2 puts you on the spot with a structured story. But check out that third column. The test then takes your personal story from part 2 and uses it to start a big, abstract discussion in part 3. It's a deliberate progression from talking about you to talking about big ideas. So here's the bottom line. The test is a journey. It's specifically designed to start with simple facts about you, move to a detailed story from you, and then finish with an abstract discussion that goes beyond you. It's literally testing your entire range of communication, from a simple chat to a deep debate. So, after breaking this whole thing down, what's the one big idea you need to remember? How does knowing this pattern change how you should even think about preparing for this test? It all boils down to this, right here. The IELTS speaking test is not about trying to figure out the right thing to say. It's about how well you can share your perspective, your experiences, and your thoughts. The topics are just the keys to unlock your voice. So next time you see a long list of topics, don't see it as 100 things you have to memorize. See it as 100 invitations. The test is just asking for your stories and then your opinions about those stories. Really, the only question left is, what are you ready to share?